Have you noticed that in the beauty, fashion, typically industries that are feminine, uh, what society expects of women? So, the food industry. Have you noticed that the most financially profitable individuals are always men? So, who are the top beauty influencers, right? It's James Charles, it's Jeffree Star. Chefs, the most popular chefs, men. What's up with that? And so I noticed that this isn't just a phenomenon in America, but this is now becoming a phenomenon in Africa. And I'm going to talk about this. So this video is not about James Charles. It's not about Jeffree Star, but it's about their Nigerian counterparts, Bobrisky and James Brown. So I saw this ad on James Brown's Instagram.
Hey darling, it's your girl James Brown. Most of you must be really curious how I keep my relationship intact. That's because my punani is wild, juicy and slapping.
So another wellness is one of the most beautiful, pure herbal organic brand. Now this brand help you to take care of your pum. When I mean your pum, the girl's pum.
And I was just so baffled because it's an ad and he's selling female products like fem wash, literally products that men have no business using. And I just want to be fair right now. He has not come out as trans. Nigeria is really not liberal when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community. It's not illegal to identify as trans, but he hasn't come out and said he's trans. But what I will say is he's very freely, being a cross-dresser, right? So I'm referring to him as a he, not as a she, because he hasn't come out and said that he's a she. I think Bobrisky says you can call him either one. So I think it's she for Bobrisky. So I'll change that up and say she for Bobrisky. But let me focus, right? James Charles is out here selling fem wash and all these female products. He's not trans. He hasn't, I don't know that he's not trans, but he hasn't come out as trans. He's, right now adamant on being a cross-dresser. He was on this HBO documentary, and I actually shot some scenes with him, which was really cool. I shot some scenes with him in Nigeria for this HBO documentary. And that was me behind the camera. But I want to focus on the fact that these are jobs that, and I'm not trying to like position it like they're taking our jobs, but it's so interesting for me to see how even in the industries that you would think that a man would not even dominate in, like beauty. Like I understand, like with chefs, you can say it makes sense that they're chefs because everybody cooks. Not everybody, but a lot of people cook. Men and women cook. It's not a woman's job to cook. People cook. But when it comes to makeup, women are the biggest consumers of beauty products, especially makeup. So the fact that we have James Charles and Jeffree Star as the biggest influencers in those industries, in that field, it's interesting to me. They're makeup artists. That makes sense. But it's interesting. And it's like, is it a question about patriarchy? Is patriarchy messed up? Or is it a question, is it patriarchy that's doing this? Because I'm not coming for them and saying that they're not feminists or they're not pro women's rights. I just think the way the world is set up, it's set up for men to win, no matter how quote unquote disadvantaged they may be, no matter no matter what their intersectionality might be, no matter, even if they lack privilege in certain ways, these are still white men, right? So they still have privileges that are just not afforded to women. And it's almost an illusion that white men have less privilege when they're members of the LGBTQIA plus community, because not necessarily, and it's showing not necessarily, right? Because ultimately they're still white men. And I don't know if it's because they have the mentality of a white man, and if that is what is pushing them to do better, or if they have more access to things because they are white men. Because like someone like James Charles could code switch very easily, right? He could decide, he's gonna dress more masculine or not wear makeup. When it comes to Jeffree Star, I don't know. I actually don't know, but I really want to talk about these Nigerian ones that are taking over. And I'm not saying it like they're taking our jobs or like it's a negative thing. I just think it's an interesting thing to look at how this cross-dressing phenomenon has become a means of upward mobility for a lot of people. So when if you've heard about James Brown or Bobrisky, who's actually way more famous and popular, they started from nothing. And when you say someone started from nothing and you're thinking from like an American context, they had something. No, these guys legit started on the streets. When they talk about their past, they were pretty much hustlers, right? And they found a way through cross-dressing to get attention and then to get influence on social media, which has led them to get all these brand sponsorships. And Bobrisky, we don't know how he's making all this money, but he sells products. He sells bleaching cream. He sells hair products. He's making a lot of money in that fashion. But I think people claim that he's a quote unquote Ron's girl, or she's a quote unquote Ron's girl. So which means that she dates rich men, and that's how she gets a lot of her money, because she's always showing off all this money. Who knows how she gets her money? But what I will say is that it's really interesting to me that this is a new avenue that has been created for people to get out of poverty. And I think when you think from a societal perspective, as much as it's a low cost of entry, it actually is a high, and the cost is not financial. The cost is your social status. So if you do something like that, you're already embarrassing your family, you're sort of putting shame to your family, you're putting shame to your name, and you're going to probably get beaten up, you're probably going to get attacked. So you're putting your life in danger, right? But it's creating this avenue for you to get attention, for you to get more suitors, and for you to create upward mobility for yourself. And literally, people are getting themselves off the streets of Nigeria by being cross-dressers. And this is like unheard of. So I guess my question to you is like, forget about where you are right now. Think about it. If you were literally in the world's poverty capital, which is Nigeria, if you were in Nigeria and you were making less than $1 a day, maybe $1.50 a day, would you become a cross-dresser for upward mobility? Would you do it? And leave a comment down below. Let me know. Would you actually do it? Because look, at the end of the day, there's so many, I'm sure people are thinking, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, but it's really hard for you to do stuff. And I think the level of shame that comes or stigma around it makes a lot of people not want to do that, because a lot of people could just copy whatever you do, especially in that level, right? A lot of people will copy what you do just so they can make money. But if you're doing something that society frowns on, you're going to have fewer competitors, because not everyone is willing to risk their reputation. Not everyone's willing to risk their reputation to do that. But it's an interesting conversation, and I'd love to know your thoughts. This new wave of Nigerian cross-dressers / trans folk who are paving the way, and the most successful one of them is Bobrisky. He has really paved the way, and I don't know that he's financially actually rich, but he shows off his money and his, he shows off a lot of his money. We assume that he's dating politicians and all these rich men, but we don't know. We really don't know. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this new avenue, this new way of upward mobility that's happening in Nigeria? And there's so many others that are like not as popular, but they're growing in popularity in their community, and they're probably monetizing in some of the ways that I discussed, like getting attention. So they're probably local celebrities. I'm sure they could do drag, but also aside from that, they can also get into the Ron's life and get a sugar daddy. So many ways that they can monetize. But I was thinking about in society how most women could potentially get money faster than most men, and that is through sex, right? I was watching Euphoria, and they really mentioned that, like, oh, you're lucky you're a woman, so we could always sell you, which is like so traumatic to hear. But when it comes down to it, you know, they say men rule the world, but the truth is like only 1% of men actually rule the world, right? The rest of the guys are like either in the middle class somewhere or just literally at the bottom doing all the manual labor, all the building, all of that. And those guys don't rule the world, right? But at the same time, right, when it comes down to it, those guys they have more difficulty coming out of their situation. If a woman is born into poverty, she could sell her way out, right? But when a man is born into poverty, he can't just like get money by selling himself unless like, you know, he's homosexual, right? Unless he goes to a man and sells himself to a man, right? He can't just do that. He has to actually do more dangerous thing to get fast cash. Like, I'm not saying that this is the only way for women to make money that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if anybody wanted to, when you look at a man, you look at a woman who can get cash faster if they needed like money fast. And a woman typically can get money faster, especially if like we're talking about both of them don't have prior investments, don't have prior capital to back them when it comes to getting fast cash. Or when it comes to like when you're at the bottom and getting money, it's faster for a woman to get money, right? And so it makes sense when you look at an economy like Nigeria, it makes sense that these guys are looking at women making all this money, well, not all this money, but making money from selling themselves. And they're like, wait a minute, we are guys. We don't want to gangbang. We don't want to rob people. We don't want to do all these things that are very dangerous and risks our lives. Why don't we just do what the women are doing? And then they look at what the women are doing and they actually turn it into a financially lucrative business because they automatically get a lot of attention because they're cross-dressers. So that's like free advertising. They're already getting seen more than the women are getting seen because like it's like a walking billboard, right? So that's the first thing. They get more attention than the women because of the fact that most people that are walking down the streets, especially in Nigeria, are not trans. They get more attention, which means that the people that actually want them will notice them, right? And that's an avenue for them to make a lot of money. So I don't know. That's one way that it makes sense that they've done that. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. A peace. For generations. So these are men, not women, but men marrying.
I'm getting married. Again.
And we watch the way that polygamy destroys families.
This is my house.
What happened to the promise about me having my own section and him having his own section? I mean, he was in my section.
In the gym? So you don't want him to work out? Hmm? No, you want him to look like you.
What is that supposed to mean?
Exactly what I said.
You know what? I'm not going to stay here and be disrespected.
Where are you gonna go?
Everything you have, I bought it.